Well, I think over last 2 years, I have tried to take new initiatives apart from the regular management work. So earlier I had been managing mainly the platforms or keep running the existing networks, but now I was able to start few new initiatives, and these initiatives are somehow helping my prior assignments, but going far beyond previous scope, I would say. So gradually scope has changed, it's expanded.
See, in the last 2 years, we wanted all our centers to be ICT-enabled centers. Where I'm talking about centers, they are community resource centers. And these centers are made by us in the rural villages. And the change which we have brought between the 2 years gap is that we have evaluated their needs in relation to information technology. And we are providing that tools, infrastructure and capacity building, and that is really making us having more stronger footage in our programs, and then having a kind of vision where we have to go in the next 3 years.
Great. I basically worked in the library department. If you say the past part, just looking through the books, the journal papers and things like that. But with the 2008, from 2008 the portal came into being, the India Environment Portal came into being. Now you are putting the information, but the way you put out the information, the way it's reaching the people, how you put the information, how you make it attractive so that how others can benefit from it, and how they are able to assess it. The things have changed a little bit. The information are the same, the things which we put are the same, but how it's being, how the society or maybe how the third person is going to benefit from it, that part comes into being. Whether there is any benefit from that part comes into being.
Oh, so you're monitoring the
monitoring, because the impact, because at any person who gives us the aid or the donor agencies, they say what's the impact? What's the impact? Whether it's benefiting, because they don't want, okay, you put so much information. It's not an archive. You put information, but okay, can you tell us, document the information that made some changes? Where the people, the students are saying, so the blogs are there, people write their opinions, okay, they need this information, or they have from this information, they got this information from this, and things like that. So that kind of information, the impact, whether it made any changes, whether it was able to reach a wider audience.
We started like around 15 years back with like online. First of all, we did lot of offline work, then we incorporated online stuff, then we incorporated our print media on 3 sectors. One is on governance, then another on education, and then on health. Then we introduced, we are doing conferences for creating the platform to bring all the stakeholders of the sector on that platform. Since last 2 years, we have, right now we were working on Asia level and the country level, India level. But now we started, since last 1.5 years, we started focusing on conferences on our state level, for various states we are working on. Like recently we are having our conference in Udaipur, it is Rajasthan. And then we will be having our next conference in December only in Indore. It is the part of Madhya Pradesh in India.
Wonderful. I think the most significant change in our work is that the policy, advocacy and communication team has been growing over the past 2 years, and that the organization also has been putting more emphasis into use of evidence. So I think also the research we're funding is now, I mean the initial research is now reaching completion, so we have findings coming out of the studies we're funding. So in terms of the policy work, there's quite a lot that is happening at this stage.
Great.
I think when we started off, we thought that once we put out information like this, people would automatically see its value. We started off on a platform that is built using a software that is completely open access. We started off using licenses, Creative Commons licenses to license our data. We started off with people giving every contributor explicit attribution for the work that they were putting. Even if a person puts up a single photograph, he gets complete attribution for it, and he chooses the license with which to share his work. But when we went for a lot of meetings and workshops, we found out that things that you think are understood are not understood unless there's personal interaction. When you actually sit down face to face and talk to people and you tell them, see, this data does not belong to us. When you put data on a public platform, the data it's not that it's no longer your property, you still own it, it's still attributable to you. If people use it, they would mention that this work has been done by you. It's just that it increases the visibility and understanding of the relevance of your work. And that Creative Commons licenses are variations of copyright, but that they do not do away with copyright. People still have to give you credit. So this has been especially important with scientists, because scientists would not put the research data out for fear that once they put the data out, it would no longer be attributed to them, and it takes a huge amount of grant money to actually create that work. And to be able to get more grants, you need to show that this amount of work belongs to you and that you can produce more work of this quality. So I think that has been one of the biggest learning experiences, that now we try and create situations where we get in touch with people who we think might be benefited by using the data, and people who are contributing the data, and have personal interactions with them, talk to them, discuss issues like copyright, discuss issues like who is using this data, can this data be changed, how sensitive is this data, can it be misused, are there benefits to putting data in the public domain versus disadvantages of putting data in the public domain, are other scientists in other countries putting data in the public domain, what are their motivations for doing this, things like this.
Wonderful. Right,
significant change, I can say that as we are moving from print to electronic sources of information, our work is changing, and also my participation with the IKMD network has changed my thinking. What I used to think, for example, because it continued with my fellowship at IDS, wherein earlier we used to think starting a project means just get into a project, start, make it work. But later on, I came to know that what are the different steps you need to assess, like mapping of knowledge. So what are the stakeholders, like a feasibility study before you embark on something. So you need to undertake a feasibility study, and you have to map your stakeholders and what are the things you need to involve, whether you have a required funding, whether you have required manpower, whether the product which you are bringing to, whether acceptability among the stakeholders, how it's going to be received. So whether it will be used, because our earlier experience with some of the content management system we worked on, like My Library we worked it. So at the time we developed it with a lot of efforts, but later on we realized very few people are using it. So, but in case of Open Index Initiative, what the project which we have initiated is being used by many, but only thing is we don't have a kind of a assessment like that I told about. Evaluation needs to be done, and what are the other measures we need to take.
So it does sound like you are